Now we can analyze some of the non-recursive algorithms with some examples here. Now I am taking the first example as finding the value of largest element in the list of n numbers. I have one array. In that array, I want to find out the largest element in that array. That is the problem here. For that one, I have written one pseudocode here. Okay, this pseudocode explains this is actually the algorithm MaxElement, which will accept input as one array and the array size is n minus 1. Here this algorithm actually determines the value of largest element in a given array. And the input is actually array of n minus 1 real numbers. And the output is the largest value of the array element A. Okay, that is given in the here. Then how actually it will perform, how actually the algorithm works. Now I assume that the first element is of the array is the largest value. So I put it in a one temporary variable called as maxval. Now I am creating one loop from the second element to the last element. Okay, this I am checking from the second element to the last element of the array. Is there any largest element or large element which is having value more than this max value? I have to check that one. So I apply one for loop here. The for loop starts from the second element to the last element of the array. Here in the for loop, I have a one check here condition. Here each element of the array is compared with the largest value here, max value. If the array element is larger than the max value, you just transfer that large value to the max value. When the loop is completed here, when the n elements are over, the max value contain the largest value of this array, okay, which will be returned here. That value will be returned. This is the explanation for algorithm. Now I have to analyze this algorithm by some 5 steps. In the first step, I have to identify the input size. Okay, here in this algorithm, as the n value increases, as the array size increases, algorithm execution processing time is also increased here. So the input size is actually directly depend on this n. So the input size is n. That is number of elements in the array. And then in the second step, I have to find out the basic operation. In these algorithms, now this comparison, that is a of I is greater than max value, is executed more number of times. If the n value increases, the execution, the comparison of this one will be increases also. So this is called as the basic operation. This will execute n number of times. As the n increases, the comparison also increases. So it is called as the basic operation. In next step, we have to identify, is there any worst case, best case affected this algorithm. Actually, we are starting from the second element to the last element. Whatever may be the input here, n value, we have to check from the second element to the last element. So there is no any worst case or best case available here. So it is directly depending on the input size. So in the next step, I have to count how many times this basic operation runs. In the fourth step, I have to identify the number of times this basic operation runs. It is depending on the n. That is, basic operations run n times. Okay. In the last step, I have to identify, I have to apply some summation formula. I have to apply some summation formula on the equation here. That can be explained with some this diagram here. Now C of n means number of times this basic operation is run. It's calculated by this summation formula here. I start from 1 to n minus 1, and here I put 1 inside of this summation, because this 1 indicates the basic operation here. 1 indicates the execution time or execution of basic operation here. How many times this basic operation runs? From I value 1 to n minus 1. When you simplify it, you got the result n minus 1. When you simplify this summation, you got the result n minus 1. That is nothing but this n minus 1 is actually belonging to theta n. It is actually belonging to theta n. Like this way, we can analyze the non-recursive algorithm. Now consider here, I have 8 numbers given. The array size is 8 here. Now I have to find out which element is the largest element in this array. Now what I will do, I will take the first element as the largest and store it in one temporary variable called as max value. Okay, I consider this one as the max value here. Okay, now the I value starting from here up to n minus 1 here. I am comparing the first loop, in the first iteration, I am comparing this 10 with the 5. Actually, max contains, initially it is 5. Okay, I am comparing this 5 here with 10 here. Now 10 is larger, so I just copy that into here. So the maximum value contain 10. The maximum value contain 10. Next, I am comparing here this max value with 16 here. 16 is larger than 10, so here it contains 16. Next, I am comparing with 70. Sorry, this is already done here. Next, I am comparing with 76 here. Now 76 is larger, so I store it in max value. When I am comparing 23, it's not a large value, so I store it, just reject it here. Again, this number is also rejected because it's a small number. This also rejected, and this also rejected because these are the small number than 76. So 76 is the largest among all the other elements. So I return 76 as the output. Like that it will works.